On today's tax update, with the government shutdown avoided for at least the next 6 weeks, tax processing and issuing of refunds will continue at the IRS until then. Meanwhile, we'll recap the latest with tax refunds set to go out this week and the status of unprocessed regular amended tax returns. We'll also take a look at why some are not seeing any updates to their regular or amended tax return processing status results and some ways to resolve potential refund delays, and also how to respond to some of those IRS notices in the mail. Starting up with those tax refunds, as the next direct deposit refunds are scheduled to be released and transmitted to banks on October 4th. Most will receive that deposit the day of, but do allow up until October 9th for it to post to your bank account. You'll either see the deposit description appear as IRS Treasury 310 Tax Ref, as seen here, or as a deposit from TPG Products, which several online e-filers use as a processor. For those waiting on paper checks, the next batch will be printed and mailed out on October 6th, and you should receive those within 7 to 10 days. Moving on to tax processing, as 945,000 unprocessed tax returns remain, with 900,000 of those being e-file returns, and those requiring special processing, while paper returns are down to just 45,000 and could be completed in November. However, at this point, it does appear some of those e-file returns and those requiring special processing will carry over into next tax season. However, those numbers should be less than half of what we're seeing now. Do make sure to check your tax transcripts for the most up-to-date information on your tax status, as Where's My Refund status results on many occasions will not provide current information. For those waiting on amended returns, processing continues and the backlog continues to drop to now 894,000 returns remaining. Still overall slow processing times averaging 6 to 7 months. However, as you see here, that number continues to drop, but overall in the last 2.5 months, the IRS has only been able to process just a little over 300,000 amended returns. Now, we did get word from one of our viewers who provided this screenshot as seen here that the IRS received their amended return on May 2nd. It took just a little over 4 months, close to 17 weeks, to move into adjusted status, and 3 weeks after that it was moved to completed on September 29th, which just happened last week. So there it is, averaging the IRS to send out that amended refund 4 to 6 weeks after it is marked as complete. So all in all, the time frame is about 6.5 months, which puts it right on track with our average of 6 to 7 months. Now, some of our viewers are reporting encountering messages like this when checking the status of their regular individual tax return or amended return status. It does have to be noted that refund and amended return status results do not always display the most up-to-date information, and there have been instances where someone has actually received their tax refund and the refund status never even updated reflecting the refund was sent. So it's advised for you to check your tax transcripts for the most up-to-date information on your tax situation. Now, if you filed a paper tax return and are not seeing any update to either your refund status results or tax transcripts, and it's been more than 6 months, the IRS is now advising you to resend that return in electronically if possible. You may want to contact them to confirm whether or not you need to send it in based on your particular situation. There is also a recent influx of taxpayers just now filing their taxes, a number of whom filed an extension which allowed them to hold off until filing in mid-October. Now, if you're among that group, you will need to wait at least 3 weeks to see updates post, whether it's on your tax transcripts or refund status results. If it's been more than 6 months since e-filing your return or sending in your amended return and you still see no updates, you will want to reach out to the IRS in the case of those e-file returns to see if it in fact was received by the IRS. And one way to do that is to check when you submitted your taxes e-file if it in fact was accepted by the IRS when you originally filed it. If the e-return is showing as rejected, you will need to immediately resend it, and as a result, you may incur late filing fees and penalties from the IRS as a result. A number of viewers are reaching out after they're receiving a 60-day notice, also known as letter 2644C, in the mail as seen here. Oftentimes it has to do with the IRS needing to process your employer's taxes so that wages you reported on your tax return match versus what your employer has submitted for accuracy. Now, this is a key thing that is needed for the processing of your tax return and ultimately issuing of your tax refund. So there are a number of things why this is happening. One, simply because your employer's wages have not been processed yet. Two, your employer has submitted their tax information to the IRS, but in some cases have inputted the wrong Social Security number on file for their employee, which now causes an issue with the IRS because they can't match wages. Or three, which happens sometimes usually with smaller companies, their employer never submitted their taxes. Now, all three scenarios are likely and happen each year. So to eliminate this as a cause of your refund delay, you will want to access your IRS account and you will want to access your 2022 wage and income transcript like seen here and confirm all the wages you earned are actually listed and completely accurate. If you're missing wages or not seeing anything at all in your IRS account, you will then want to log into your Social Security account at ssa.gov and review your earnings record as seen here. Now, if you're missing wages, you will need to contact the IRS or Social Security Administration about this, but also contact your employer to confirm they actually have the correct Social Security number on file for you and that they've submitted their wage information to the IRS. Now, if you're one of thousands of taxpayers who are receiving notices from the IRS requesting documentation to be submitted in order for the processing of your tax return to continue, you have an option to get those documents to the IRS much quicker than in previous years due to the IRS documentation upload tool as seen here. Now, in previous years, the only way to send the IRS requested documentation was by mail or fax. This proved to be a real problem, especially the last 2 years due to delays associated with the pandemic, where it could take 5 to 6 months for the IRS to review documents mailed to them, as there were tens of thousands of unopened pieces of mail sitting at IRS processing centers across the country. This year, the IRS has expanded the list of notices sent out in which taxpayers can upload requested documents. Those include the CP05A notice, along with the CP09 and CP75 series of notices, which have to do with the Earned Income Tax Credit, and has been common due to the increasing amount of EITC audits. Another letter that is acceptable is the CP08, which relates to the Child Tax Credit, which are now allowed to be uploaded. Now, when you do proceed to upload those documents, you will need that unique access code to open the documentation upload tool, which will be on the document itself. Now, you can only upload documents if they've been requested by the IRS, either in the form of the letter or by over the phone, and they're among the listed items as acceptable. This option is not available for those needing to complete ID verification and may have received such notices as the 5071C notice. Let us know in the comment section below about your ongoing tax issue. In the meantime, we'll keep monitoring the situation for further developments, so make sure to click on the thumbs up and subscribe button below for future updates on this channel, and thanks for watching.